Good evening friends, welcome to the BISP Solutions. Today we are going to dive into one of the core components of Oracle Planning and Budgeting Cloud Services, that is PBCS, the scenario dimension. Understanding this dimension is crucial for anyone involved in financial planning, budgeting and forecasting. So yesterday we have discussed that what is dimensions, as well as we have also thrown the light on the cubes, that what are the difference between cube as well as the dimension, and what is the uses of dimension and the cubes and making the forecasting as well as doing the planning. So each of them has the different and unique attributes. So yesterday we have discussed about the account dimension. Here we can see, and from this cube we have just aggregated the account dimension. Here I can write it that yesterday we have discussed about the account dimension. So today we are going to throw some light on the scenario dimension. So let me do the recap of the previous session, so that your revision would be done. Even you will also got to know that whatever we have revised so far, so is it good or not. You can also practice even on the instance that how the account dimension works, and how its member properties affect the planning and forecasting. So in PBCS, dimensions are like categories or containers that organize your data, as we have discussed earlier. Only just a revision form. Think of a spreadsheet with rows and columns. Dimension are the headings for those rows and columns. So they provide a structure for all the numbers and values you input. For example, a typical PBCS application has several standard dimensions, like as for account dimension as concerned. So what is the number? Examples are like revenue, salaries, rent expenses. For entity, we have different cost centers as well as the departments. It talks about where is the number. It contains North America, EMEA, sales department. So for period is when is the number, that is Jan, Feb and quarter 1. We also have the year, which year is the number, like example FY24 or FY25. So version talks about what kind of plan is it, and working, final, scratch, or the different ones. In the last we have the scenario dimension, which talks about what is the purpose of the number as well as the actual budget forecast. So today we are going to focus on the scenario dimension. The scenario dimension is the core of our discussion today. It defines the type of data you are working with. This what allows you to distinguish between your historical data, your current budget, and your future predictions. So it is all about the data where we will discuss the cube as well as the scenario dimension for different things. Like here I have also mentioned here that scenario dimensions we have, as well as the product, entity and accounts ones. So from the paint itself we will understand that what is scenario dimension and how it will impact to your accounts. We will also discuss this members property that in the same we have discussed for accounts 1. Before going to the main areas, we will focus on its uses, that why the scenario dimension is useful, as well as at last we will also do some practical hands-on the examples. So the scenario dimension is essential in PBCS because it enables a comparative analysis and strategic decision making. As you can see here, I will take you to the dimension. So we are going to the instance and we will watch it practically, that where the scenario dimension is. So as I have told you earlier, I have taught you earlier that you have to go in the navigator flows, and you have to click this option dimensions under the create and manage. So you can simply click it, and then you will see the display, the interface is so easy, so you can understand it very well. And one more request is there, that whatever I am telling you, you should make the notes of it, so that the concepts would be more clear to you, as well as the concepts would go into mind, because the concept should be clear and unambiguous, so that you can understand it, as well as you can do the practice on the instance, because without practice you cannot be the master on the PBCS application. So whatever I am telling you, whatever I'm making the diagrams in the instance, so you are bound to do this, because without making the notes, all the concepts and the teachings as well as the learnings will be useless. The scenario dimension is essential in PBCS because it enables the comparative analysis and strategic decision making. So here you can see here that we have the account dimension, and now I am clicking the scenario ones. You can look at the instance that various dimensions we have: account, alternative here, channel, entity, HSV view, period, product, scenario, version, as well as the year. The last one is year. So today we will discuss about the scenario as the core milestone. So under this we have different types of scenario, that is current, variance comments, no scenario, actual, as well as plan, and also the adjust budget plan. So different scenarios are here, and today we will talk about any of the dimensions member. Like for example, I'm taking the actual. So let me click on this pencil icon. You can see here the pencil icon is there, and we have the dimension members property. We have the dimension members property, that is name, description, alias table, alias, start year, start period, end year, end period. It includes a beginning balance as the time period. Even we also have the options for enable for the approvals, exchange rate table, hierarchy tab, data storage. As earlier we have discussed about the data storage, that we have the different options under it, like store, dynamic calc, never share, as well as the label only. So some more options as well as the members property we have to discuss for the future, so that the concept would be more clear to you if you will do the planning through the data form. So absolutely this type of member properties knowledge will help you to do the forecasting. So basically we have this dimension members properties, and we will discuss here. So if I talk about the key benefits, so key benefits include to know about the I'm talking about the scenario dimension. So it includes the separation of data. So what are the separation of data? So it keeps the different data types, example actual, budget, forecast, in distinct buckets, preventing the confusion and the data corruption. This allows you, a user, that to pull up a report and be confident they are viewing the correct data set. Second benefits for the scenario dimension, we have the powerful reporting and dashboards. So with the scenario dimensions you can build reports as well as the dashboards that compare different scenario side by side. Like for example, a report can show actual versus budget, variance for the current month, or the forecast versus budget for the full year. So this is the example that how we do the comparison, and in the report as well as in the dashboard, that how the comparison occurs, like the same reporting option is totally similar to the variance reporting, where we have discussed about the comparison, about the difference, that what is actual as well as the budget. But this is a slightly the different concept. So we will also discuss that what is the difference between variance reporting and the scenario dimension, because we are doing the slightly same thing, because both are interdependent. So forecast versus budget and actual versus budget, so we have different things. So another benefits that we have, it is agile planning and forecasting, the ability to create multiple scenarios such as what if a forecast. It allows your organization to respond quickly to change business conditions. They can model potential changes and assess their impact on the bottom line without disrupting the official financial planning. The last benefits that we have, it helps in the data integrity and the control. The properties of a scenario member, such as its start and periods and the frequency, so it ensures that users can only enter data into a valid time frame for that scenario. So this helps maintain data accuracy as well as the integrity across the entire application. So here you can see that what are the dimension members of a scenario. So let's see it. So again we will use the paint, because with the use of paints the concepts would be more clear and easy to remember. As we know, the pictographic image it ensures the things to be remembered. It keeps you things to be learned as well as to remember, so that you can learn the concepts for forever. So here under the scenario, we have different members property. So let me write it, that what are the members property, a dimensions member property under the scenario ones. So first property that we have, it is member name and alias. So we will discuss each and everything. I'm writing all the members property, so that you can have the glimpse upon these points. Second thing that we have, it is start year and end year and year. After that we have the start period and the end period and the end period. After that we have the frequency then we have the default view, and at the last we have data storage. So these are the following members property that we have under the scenario dimension. So we will discuss each points step by step. So first, if I talk about the member's name and alias, member's name and alias. So it is the unique name for the scenarios, the same as we discussed in the account dimension. I will also write it again here, that it is the unique name for the scenario. There we were discussing about the unique name for the account specific, but here we are discussing and giving the names about the member's name for scenario dimensions specifically. So it could be actuals as well as the actuals friendly ones, and plan we can also give the name for the scenario dimensions. So simply I can write this is unique name for the scenario. After that we have start and end year. I will show you that what is the concept of it. So we have the concept for start and end year. So let me write it at what it is and what is the concept of start and end here. So this defines the range of years for which the scenario is valid. For an actual scenario, it would typically be for all years, while a budget might only cover the current and the next fiscal year. So it talks about the start year and year of the scenarios, like as we have discussed that. Again I will write it here. But it shows and it defines the year for which the scenario is valid. Year for which the scenario is valid. For which the scenario is valid. So this is the things where we have discussed the member's name and the alias and the start and the end year, which talks about the defining the year for which the scenario is valid. And then we have the another dimension members property, that is start period and end period. So what it is? So it is similar to years. This defines the valid period range. A budget scenario might start in January, while a forecast might start in the current month. So it's similar talk about the defines that valid proof as well as the valid period range. So here uh, we can mean that it is the things which is totally depicts the budget as well as the forecast correct period range, that what would be the start period as well as what would be the end period. So I can write it defines the valid period range, period range. It defines the valid period range. Then we have the another dimension members property, that is frequency. So what is the use of frequency and why the Oracle PBCS has given this option under the scenario dimensions members property? So we will discuss about it. Like, this is a very important property. It defines the lowest level of time at which data can be entered. Uh, uh, Under the common options are monthly, quarterly, and yearly. For example, we can say that if actual scenario, you would likely set this to be monthly. So it is totally the lowest level of the time at which data can be entered. So it's a frequency of entering the data. So here you can see that we have the frequency, so it defines the lowest level of data under the scenario dimensions. For an actual scenario, you would likely to set this a monthly. So I can mention this is the lowest level of time at which data can be entered, Another dimensions members property that we have, it is default value. So it determines how data is displayed. For example, you might set the default view for the budget to year to date, like what we call it as in YTD, to show the cumulative values. So it is a default value that have the displays data as well as the set default view on the budget and the YTD. So it determines how data is displayed and how the things has to be displayed under the default value. So you might set the default view for a budget to year to date to show cumulative values. So I can mention it here for your information, that what it determines. So it determines that how data is displayed how data is displayed. So here we have covered the 5 points of the default, under which we have the member's name and the alias, which talks about the different unique identities as well as the general ledger accounts. In the next ones we have the start and the end year, which defines year for which the scenario is valid, and start and the end period, which defines the valid period range. In the next we have discussed about the frequency, which talks about the lowest level of time at which data can be entered, and default view, as we have mentioned already, as well as we have also discussed in the accounts dimension, that what the default view it is and how data is displayed. So at last we will learn about the data storage property. So data storage property that we are learning in the scenario dimension is quite similar to the accounts dimension. In the accounts dimension, we have heard as well as learned about the different data storage properties like store, dynamic calc, and numbers, as well as different types of data store property. As you can see here on the instance, like dynamic calc, never share, as well as the label only. So we have defined that each property has the unique feature. Even in the data storage, how the store option works and how the dynamic calc and store works. So its attributes are totally different and its main functions is also different. So we have to keep in mind that what kind of selection we are doing before the planning as well as forecasting. So it is needed to take in the consideration that are we making the specific accounts input as well as enabled input for the users, as well as are we going for automatically calculations of the child members property. So same as we have discussed in the accounts, the same thing would be there, only the slightly change would be there, its meaning would be different. So I will tell you that what it is and what would be the option under it. Data storage. Under data storage, so this property tells PVCS how to handle data for the member. So under the store, as I have already said you that the slight meaning would be changed. So data is directly stored in the database. Most base level scenarios like actuals as well as the budget are set to store. And if I talk about the dynamic calc, so data is not stored but is calculated on the fly whenever the user retrieves it. So this is the useful for scenarios that are calculated based on the another scenario. Here we have different scenarios like let me back it. So here we have the different scenarios like actual, plan, current, variance, as well as no scenarios there. We generally use it while if we don't have the scenarios in the organization planning structure. So that's why we don't use it, but by default Oracle PBCS creates the scenario dimension. So it's all about the default option that has been created by the instance. So for actual versus plan as concerned, we have the different data storage property. So under this you can see under the variance we have different things. We can also edit it from here. So these are the members property that we have. So we will again use the paint option under this. So under the data storage we have store thing, we have store stuff, which talks about that data is directly stored in the database. So data storage, it's all about the storing, dynamic calc, automatically calculations. So it has a different and wide range features. Another thing, options as well as the stuff that we have under the data storage, that is dynamic calc. Dynamic calc, which talks about data is not stored but it is calculated on the fly. Data is not not stored, but calculated on the fly. Another option that we have, it is forecast. I think under this we have only two options, but let me see it again, watch it. So in the data storage we have the all options like the account dimensions, which is only similar to the different dimensions as well. So it totally talks about the dynamic calc as well as the stored property. So here we have discussed the things about it, what kind of scenario dimension that we have, and members property, that how it will affect the total accounting structure. So if I talk about the comparison, so in the comparison, if I would take the member as in budget versus forecast, so how would I compare it? So let's compare a budget scenario and a forecast scenario to see how their properties would differ, and how the members property we have to select, and what the difference would be there when the professionals as well as the consultant would select the members property according to their organizational structure. So it would be the complicated job, but we have to keep in consideration that if we would be aware about these all stuff, so it will handles as well as it will maintain the data fetch for the organization. So let's see the comparison between the property as well as budget and forecast. So let me do it once. So here I'm putting the line. And this I'm also making the line for the difference. So we have the two options here, as well as the two member, that is budget we have budget, and here we have the forecast. So two options we have budget as well as the forecast. So how we would differentiate it? So for the start year, what we will select? So in the start year we will select the current year, and here we will select the current year. The same options we have to select here. Under this, in the second ones, we have to select the current year, but the forecast would be changed. It would be selected as in next year. So here I can define it, and under this we have the next year. And the third points for start period. So start period for the organization would be Jan. It depends upon that what is the start period of the organization. It differs, it varies from companies to companies, that what kind of period date taking, as well as what kind of period is mentioned in their financial year. So for example, we have the Jan month. Here we are taking, some companies start with the April also. Here this start period would be current period. Current period. Let's say August. So under the fourth, for comparison, we have the frequency. So as we have already discussed about that what is frequency, so it's all about the data input frequency that we will fill there. So for budget as concerned, we will take it as a monthly. Fourth, then it would also be in monthly. It would also be in monthly. And fifth what would be, so for data storage we will select the different case. So data storage we will select the store, and then for the forecast, we will select the store. And under it we have the purpose. So the difference between budget and forecast would be slightly different. Like under the budget we will select the fixed plan, and under the forecast we have to select the rolling prediction, as we've discussed while creating the application about the rolling forecast. So it's totally similar to that option, that how the carry forward accounts would be there, and how we can surpass as well as carry forward the accounts of the previous year to the next year as well as to the next months. So that is the main feature of the rolling predictions of the purpose. So we have for purpose as concerned, so it is for the fixed plan. And this is specifically for the rolling prediction. So here we have defined, and here we have seen the difference and the dichotomy between budget as well as the forecast. So again we can recap it, like for the start year we have the current year for the budget as well as current year for the forecast. If I talk about the end year, so we will take current year as an end year for the company, as well as second in the forecast ones we will take the next year. For start period it would be Jan, as well as for the forecast it would be current period. So as I have mentioned you that it depends upon company to company. It varies from organization to organization, that how it is differs and what kind of start period they are taking. So for the forecast they have taken the current period as well as the first month. So for end period as concerned, so we have different things like December and this December. So I have just forget to mention it, that I have not mentioned here the end period that I have to mention here. So for end period we will take December, and here December of the next month we will take the December of the next month. Sorry for that, it's December of the next year. So for frequency, we have already taken the monthly period, as well as for the forecast we have taken the monthly period. It would be same as usual. So for data storage property, we will take it as an store, because we are going to enable the data input function under the data form, as well as we can also change the similar stuff in the smart view. So that's why we have taken the store option. Otherwise we could have selected the dynamic calc if the parents member would have been the accounts specific parent, or the main calculative parents. So for the purpose, we are bound to use the fixed plan, as well as for the forecast we are using the rolling prediction. So that is the simple difference between the budget and the forecast. We have taken the case study to show you that how the budget versus forecast occurs, as well as how these all comparisons are very much beneficial for the forecasting as well as the planning. So in the budgeting, we will also use the same thing, because we have the different options under the PBCS. So for the EPBCS is concerned, it is the advanced version of PBCS, because it has the pre-built templates. Like it emphasizes upon different forecasting plans, like financial planning, workforce planning, capex planning, which is related to the fixed asset management, and last one is the project planning. Nowadays Oracle has also inbuilt one more new options on it, that is cash planning. So it totally depends upon the organization, that what kind of planning they have taken for the pre-built template. Like if I talk about the cash management planning, so it is totally emphasized on the management of the cash and what would be the cash flow in the future years. So like a financial modeling, if we will do in the Excel interface for the different companies, so absolutely the same thing would be there under the instance, but the uses would be different, and it would be more flexible, as well as it would be more resilience to learn. So I'm going to for your good concepts, I'm going to make the forecasting plan, as well as I'm going to build as well as add the new child or the parent member under the scenario dimension. Suppose if I want to add the sibling under the scenario, that is, here we have the new scenario, current, variance, actual, plan, example, forecast. If I want to add only the forecast, so how I will add it here? So simply I have to click it here. I will go to the adding sibling. You can see here the plus icon. This is add child and this is add sibling. So here you can write, as well as click this option, and here you will see these all dimension property would be there in front of your face, that whatever we have discussed so far. So suppose I only want to add the forecast ones, so I will write it only forecast. Description is optional if we don't want to give it, so let it be leave. And as here it has taken the start year FY15. We also have the different options that what kind of starting year you have to take. So suppose I want to take it as an FY20, so I will take it as an FY20. Here we have also discussed that start period, that what is the use of it. So for here under the start period, the Oracle instance for the organization has taken the Jan month. So Jan month is the correct month if I talk about the US development company. So this is the appropriate month for them. So that's why Jan month would be keep it as in default. We will not change this option. So in the end year it is FY27. So you can see the large difference between the 20 and 27s, around the 7 years. So we can change it. We will keep it for the 25. for 25. So here you can also see the different options that we have. It includes a beginning balance as the time period, as well as the enable for the approvals. So under this, it is already by default, it is enabled for the approvals as well as for the exchange rate table. If we talk about the exchange rate table, so it is closed for the users, but it enables when we do the settings. We can change this option from the settings. In the hierarchy type, we have the no set, so we will keep it as in default. In the data storage, as I have discussed here, you can see here in the panes that here we have kept it store. For forecast we have kept it store, and monthly we also have the option. So you can see here. So here we will keep it same. So forecast name is already exists. We can create the different scenarios under it. Suppose I want to take the different scenario. So companies have different scenarios. Whatever scenario they want to choose, so they can choose. So different scenarios that we have discussed. Because why it is not taking, because it is already giving me the warning that object with the name forecast already exists. So if I talk about the different scenario that can be added in the Oracle PVCs, so we can take is an what if. What if scenario we can take it. So let me check it if it is there or not. I think we don't have here the what if scenario, but we will add it here. Okay, so we can change it again. I think the what if is also there. So top down scenario, let's take the top down scenario. Yeah, so it is added. So here we have added the top down scenario. So you might have the doubt that what is top down scenario. So basically the top down scenario, this scenario represents a high level plan or targets set by corporate management and the lower level business units. Then it create their detailed bottom up plans based on these targets. So this is the top down scenario that we have, and what we have created in the add siblings. We can add two more to show that how we can add the siblings under the scenarios. So here we will add the bottom up scenario. What we will add? Bottom up scenario. One more we have added. So bottom up this scenario contains the detailed line item budgets created by individual departments or the cost centers. The data from these scenarios is then aggregated as well as accumulated for the consolidated plan. So far we have created the two scenarios that we have, top down as well as the bottom up. So under this we can manage it whatever we want to select. We have already kept it store, the data storage property we have kept it store. If we want to create it the dynamic calc, we can also create it, but we will keep it as in default as in store. So these all are the stuffs that we have discussed today for the scenario dimensions. Here we have also do the comparison for budget as well as the forecast, and we have discussed the each members dimension members properties with its meaning. You can see here by doing the pause of video you can make the notes of it, even you can write the meanings of it, so it would be more clear to you. So today we have discussed about the scenario dimension, and whatever the doubt would be there, whatever any doubt would be there under this session or under this scenario dimension or in the past session, so you can ask that doubt under the comments without any hesitation. So this was the session for today. Thank you for watching this session.